Hey, Finn.
Hey Dean, how's it going?
Good, thank you. Welcome to episode 161. I think we're at now. So, tell folks a little bit about you, and then I have a hypothetical scenario for you.
Yeah, sure thing. So my name is Finn Patrick. I reside in Scotland in the UK, and I work as a fractional CMO, primarily for executive search firms at the moment, with a background
Oh,
in boutique consultancies and premium level brands.
I think you're the first fractional CMO we've ever had on here that
That
does professional service firms. Wow, I'd never even occurred. Of course, they would need them. It never occurred to me that they would.
Yeah, so professional service firms sums it up nicely.
Okay. So here's the scenario. Okay, you like professional service firms and others, presumably. What's sort of like the dream scenario to walk into with a new client, and like what's sort of the like nightmare scenario to walk into on day one with a new client?
Yeah, excellent question. So it's easier taking somebody from good to great as opposed to just starting out and getting to that level of good. So somebody who's getting no leads at all, with no validated product, service, or offer is very challenging and often has some unrealistic expectations as to how fast they can go to market with where they're at. Best case scenario is they have something in place and they're just looking to do more of that, but they're looking to scale in a way that's efficient and effective. So what I kind of focus primarily on is functional marketing, making it perform better, but not just better, but more sustainably as well, more consistency. I bring that to the table.
Okay, what is the nightmare?
Like the nightmare is the client who thinks that they're going to go from not to
Yeah.
the moon overnight, and we're really they're struggling to get the foundations in place. So things like the validation of their offer, real differentiation within the marketplace. The biggest challenge I come across is multi-specialist firms that are really just generalists and don't have expertise in
Right.
any particular area. So that's the nightmare. And then managing those expectations can be rather hard as well.
Fair enough. So Asante, hi.
How's it going?
Good, thank you. We're going to get into a couple of hypothetical situations for questions for you, but first, let everyone know a little bit about you.
Yeah, sorry for coming in. My splitter is acting up, so I have all kinds of audio, obviously, as you just heard, and video issues. But myself, I have a background in sales and marketing, advertising. I've been a branding guy for a long time, kind of in that world of doing a lot of conversion rate optimization within those and incorporating different, I guess, conversion tactics with video production and kind of storytelling, brand storytelling, integrating that kind of stuff across campaigns, social media, website stuff. And so I left my previous company, started consulting, and the gentleman that I had hired to come in as my first introduction to kind of fractional work became my new business partner in a fractional CMO venture.
Right.
Background is in operations and kind of bridge consulting, but within marketing and sales for companies like Experian, Johnson Johnson around here where we're at in Irvine, California, Alteryx, and some of the companies around here. And so yeah, we love this work. We're newer to the specifically fractional CMO space, but have engaged with clients that way for a long time.
So, what's then
Really
the sort of
love
nightmare scenario, and what's the dream scenario then for
the
those kind
dream
of clients
scenario.
that move into it?
Well, I think for a lot of consultants, the concern is really, separating out your labor from the scalability of your venture. And so, we've productized in ways the way that we're operating things, and we'd like to scale this into an opportunity to go from fractional CMO work into almost incubation for small businesses. But as Finn, you just mentioned, it's easier to go from good to great than it is from scratch to a functional business. So those are long-term challenges that we'll be solving. But in the short term, just getting into a space where we have help that we can offer, again, that's not tied to our labor of helping small businesses be more successful and kind of install tactics of more systemized operations is really where we're looking to go.
So, Asante, let's change the scenario. So you're on stage. There's 250 fractional CMOs in the audience, okay? They're the whole audience, except they only became fractional CMOs yesterday. They're brand new at this. Okay? So I'm going to give you a couple of sentences, and you just like finish them to give those audiences the advice that they're going to need, okay? So the first one is, you're on stage, you're like, guys, you've all worked in corporate, but now fractional CMOs. The thing you're going to be, now that you're starting out, the thing you're going to be most shocked by is what? Like, what are fractional CMOs sort of surprised by when they first go out on their own?
Yeah, I think, the thing that you will be most surprised by is how disorganized most organizations are, and how challenging it is to find answers coming from corporate. You have these systems where everything is very built out, and if you're starting, you're likely starting with smaller businesses as you build up your portfolio, right? And so, thinking of this business as this beautiful, well-oiled system is not going to be it. They require leadership of somebody that understands systems and processes and can kind of organize things. Most businesses that at least I've experienced. And so I think that, again, coming from corporate to then being in a leadership role at smaller businesses, if you are, tackling larger businesses, the need for processes to be installed, even attribution set up properly and KPIs, things that are very simple for, where most people come from, that are able to take the leap into a fractional position. I think that will probably be the biggest thing, and the need for leadership regarding, processes and even reporting and stuff like that.
And Finn, how about you? If you're the speaker talking to that audience of a couple hundred fractional CMOs and they're just starting out, right? What do you think they're going to be most shocked by?
If you think this is as easy as you think it's going to be, then you're in for a surprise, because every, regardless of how much you try and productize what it is that you do, every company does throw that curveball. There's lots of, variation, different personalities. It's a huge learning step in leadership as well. Not just leadership when it comes to leading other companies, but self-leadership as well, because you've gone from a hierarchy environment where you fit into that in some shape, and all of a sudden that foundation's taken away from you.
Yep.
Sounds like a great life. You can do anything whenever you want with whoever you want, right? That's the dream that everybody enters into when they become a fractional CMO, but it starts and it stops with you at the end of the day. And that's the biggest wake-up call I found. Fortunately, I've been doing this for, it must be 7 or 8 years now. So, and I'm still, I still work on it in terms of getting more of that, rather than call it work-life balance, calling it work-life harmony, because I don't believe there really is a balance to it as such. But then understanding as well I think the learning in who you are and who you best work with and when to say no are, those are the challenges that await. So,
Finn, we talked about that, but what about, you're still on the same stage. Let's finish this thought. So you're talking to these fractional CMOs, they're new, and so and one thing you'll find is that many clients just don't understand what?
So they don't understand that marketing is not like gambling. So when you hire somebody with expertise in this field specifically, it's not that you're hiring a more advanced poker player than yourself. It's that good marketing is strategic. It is linked to specific outcomes and objectives, and there's an art and a science to it as well. So rather than thinking of it as this in-out scenario where if we do marketing, then this will happen.
Right.
It's thinking about it in terms of what's the right marketing for our organization at the level that we're at, with the budget that we have and the resources that we have as well. Because usually there's a massive misalignment between what marketing is believed to be versus what it is in reality and how it's going to help that organization.
And Sante, what do you think? What do most clients not understand?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's very accurate. I think if you give me 5 minutes, I'm still dealing with this. Give me a second. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what. Just go ahead and drop out, and I'll send you something so to reschedule.
Yes, that works. Thank you. Sorry about that.
All right, see ya. All right, Finn. So here's my next one. Okay, this is the last one where you're like talking to this audience, but you're talking to these fractional CMOs, and it's like the sort of, you've got to give them one lesson, like one takeaway lesson on how to get their first clients. What's your main lesson on getting clients?
Excellent question. So first client, it's kind of like the egg scenario or the omelet scenario, right? It's probably not going to be the best clients you're ever going to land. All right. So prepared for it to be a little bit rocky. But in terms of getting that client, is understanding, first of all, what your strengths are. Okay. Really, what's the experience that you're bringing to the table? And most importantly, where's the gap in the market? So this is the hardest thing that I think most people contend with, is they tend to jump on trends. Okay.
Mhm.
If it's cool to be a fractional CMO in the tech space, for example, well, good luck differentiating yourself from somebody that's been doing that for 10 years. Finding those spots. So, it's great to hear that I'm the first fractional CMO for professional service firms that you've met, because that means that I've done my homework. I know where the gaps are. That's why I'm mostly not in a competitive place, and I can be massively selective about who I work with and so forth. But that's the important thing, is finding your lane and sticking to it. It's not to say that you're going to find it straight away or it's not going to refine further, but pick one and do it well and do it to the best of your ability, and then you'll get noticed.
No, that's good. Focus. Who knew?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So as you talk to, and this is what I'm curious about this, as you talk to like prospective clients and excuse me, is one of those topics where most people think they have some understanding of it. Fair, right? Everyone's been marketed to, even if they haven't marketed, right? Now, as you talk to clients, and things in marketing can be sort of trendy, they become popular, whatever. What do they talk about with you that you think is overrated, or what do they ask if you can do for them that you think is overrated? And what, if anything, is sort of underrated right now? Either it's new and not yet appreciated, or it's old and sort of overlooked. So like, what's overrated in marketing these days and what's underrated?
Yeah, fantastic point. So I would say my biggest bugbear as well, and the one that creeps up the most, is the whole topic of personal branding. Everybody, the top of their list is, what do we want to achieve with our marketing? We want to have a better personal brand, for certain leaders in the company and so forth. And I find that it's the most misunderstood term, because if we think of a personal brand, if we think of the people that are associated with, being influential and their personal brand, building their company. So a great example is Elon Musk, for example, and the building of Tesla. Like, Tesla don't advertise. Okay. The thing is that he didn't set about building a personal brand. It's not something that you do intentionally. Okay. There's no step-by-step. This is how you build a personal brand, and then you become Elon Musk success level. Right. So that's the thing, is that people expect or think that personal branding is about being able to create this almost perfect persona of themselves that is going to sell something online. And that within itself is the the biggest breakdown in understanding is because you're creating something that's fake, it's not authentic, and that's when the best personal brand, if you like, becomes the most effective. Okay, so Elon Musk,
Yeah.
whether you love him or hate him, he is himself. Okay, and the most important thing as well is that personal branding. I saw a post the other day about, the people that are known are the ones that are going to succeed, and the people that are invisible online are the ones that won't. And it's like, well, it's not quite as straightforward as that. And of course, it was some good-looking woman
Mhm.
sipping a latte, etc. You know the type of post. And so I had to chime in, expecting to get a wrath of hate coming my way. And my point being that it's great being known, but unless you're known for knowing something specific, nobody's going to be excited about parting money and working with you. Okay. I've never heard, the reason a client signed that 6-figure deal, well, it was the selfie with the latte that did it for me. Right. That doesn't kind of cut it in business sense. So if anybody ever talks about personal branding with me, it's just like, let's talk about becoming known for knowing something. What is it that you want to become known for knowing for? And I believe this kind of follows up to your other question, which is, what's the most effective thing? Okay, that we talk about, and that is putting the expertise out there. That's what I see as a lot of shallow posting online, where people are doing what they think they're supposed to be doing. Okay, they're talking about their dog, they're talking about the cat, they're talking about
Right.
not being able to get to work on time, they're talking about wearing that tie that day. Is it the right thing to do? And is work from home better than working in an office? And more of the kind of same surface level stuff. But the thing that people are really challenged with is actually getting their expertise out of their head and across into the market space without making it look like they're just talking about themselves. Okay. The reason that works really, really well for my clients is, so I have a kind of excavating process, so an expert excavation process where I'm taking the expertise out of them and simplifying that into a message that the market is going to understand. Like, that's the first step, right? And that's the kind of the real differentiator, because nobody has the same knowledge or the same experience as that one individual has. And so that's where building that premium personal brand becomes something that's actually tangible, because it's not actually about you, it's about your expertise. Okay. And that's fundamentally what people are going to pay for.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. So now I have what's going to be either the easiest or hardest question you're going to answer all day.
Okay.
What's marketing?
What is marketing? Marketing is communication, right? It's communicating to the market a problem that you solve in a way which is rinse and repeatable. And the aim of the marketing is to make it as believable as possible as to whether you can achieve that outcome.
That's a good answer.
So in one word, I would say communication.
And so as you talk to like companies and prospective clients, what's some of the like red flags and green flags as you're talking about? It's like, I don't know about those guys. I don't think that's going to be a good fit. Or like, wow, that's kind of great. Like, wow. So what are sort of the red flags and green flags as you're talking to prospective clients?
All right, so let's talk about the red flags first. So the first one is, we've tried working with 5 different fractional CMOs and it hasn't worked out. We've tried working with multiple agencies, it hasn't worked out. We've tried working with multiple copywriters, it hasn't worked out. We've tried everything and it hasn't worked. Or when you're making suggestions and recommenders, that didn't work for us before. So it's the unopenness or the closed downness of their own responsibility when it comes to creating something of value and demand that is in the marketplace. Okay, so often people are offering something that just really isn't in demand. Okay, so that kind of probably feeds into the other red flag, which is we've built something amazing, right? We love it, and we've had feedback from other people that we've built this rocket ship and it's amazing. And then, I ask the question, has anybody bought it?
Yeah.
Not yet, right? And then I guess every other red flag starts with, we've got a small budget, but
Right.
okay. So let's move on to the green flags. Green flags being, we've managed to get this far, but we know to get to the next level that what we've been doing isn't going to get us there. So we're looking for something a bit different. Somebody who values marketing, but doesn't have the time or resources to run the company and oversee the marketing as well. All right. So, and then I would say somebody who's got good business acumen in terms of, like, they understand things like, KPIs like CPA, for example.
Mm-hmm.
What is a lead really? They can answer very quickly the problem that they solve, and their reason for doing what they're doing is extremely positive. It's like, well, I didn't get into this just to make the most money possible. Like, I got into this to make a difference. And that's probably what underpins the main reason as to why I work with people, is to help them make an even bigger impact compared to with what they're doing just now.
All right. So I'm going to offer you an option here now. Do you have like a question that you like to ask other fractional CMOs when you meet them? Or if you want, you can ask me a question, but I'm not that interesting. But do you have a question that you like ask other fractional CMOs when you meet them?
I'm always curious to find out why. Why did you decide to become a fractional CMO?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but every season we change the questions on the podcast. This is season 7. One of the questions around season 3, 4, it would just go like, "Hey, I'm not trying to be rude, but there are easier ways to make a living. Why be a fractional CMO?" Because there are easier ways to make a living than being a fractional CMO.
Yeah. Work in finance.
Yeah.
Much easier.
Much easier.
Invest other people's money.
What is it you ask them?
Yeah.
You ask them.
Yeah. So that's the thing. If it was about like becoming an investment banker, it's certainly not the easiest way to money, but I think that it's definitely it's a very fulfilling journey.
Yeah.
And it's a journey of self-discovery as well, and understanding how little you actually know. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons as to why people get into it, which perhaps goes against my original advice as to what to get into. Is focus on your strengths. Most people get into it because I know a lot about this topic, right?
It's like a chef deciding to open a restaurant because they're a good chef.
Yeah. And the thing is, as well, as the market changes, and that's the thing, is that being prepared and having the resilience to understand that everything's temporary and not to panic. Easier said than done, because when your clients start flapping because something's happening with the elections or whatever it is, and they drop you all before Christmas, and it's like, oh, who's going to pay for the kids' presents and that kind of thing. That's a real world worry, but it's understanding, that everything is like, going outside a fractional CMO and working as it, on a consulting level, is that everything is temporary. So even though there's going to be pain involved, it's the longevity which is going to make you stand out more than any differentiator as well. So the longer you do this, the more people you connect with,
right.
The better, or the more you care about other people rather than yourself, then that gets recognized and that gets rewarded as well.
All right. So this has been great. Thank you, by the way, for this ups and downs on this one. Who should be reaching out to you these days? What kind of clients, and how would you like them to do it?
So I work with primarily executive search firms at the moment because it's all about people. And that's the biggest thing for me, is that we spend the majority of our life at work, and the difference between a good job and one that we can't stand to go into the next day is the difference between a fulfilling life and a life not worth living. So if I can help executive search firms get the right people into right jobs and doing that more of the time, that to me is the kind of ripple effect that I want to kind of produce at this time. I've done the marketing technology, from an
Right.
IT background myself. I've worked at leadership level within a lot of kind of top organizations and so forth. So I know what it's like at that C-suite level and how you can land in a job and think this is the dream job, but actually be miserable at the same time. I've been there. So the more that I can help the people that actually facilitate the process of taking a candidate and putting them into a position, getting that right fit, that right culture fit, that right technical fit, and doing that more of the time and getting paid well for it. That's why I do what I do. And that's why I work specifically with executive search firms. Like you mentioned before, it's mostly professional service firms, that level that I work with. But right now I'm concentrating on executive search firms because that's where the biggest impact is for me right now.
First, before I go into an anecdote, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, so the best way is either on LinkedIn, just looking up my name, Finn Patrick, and I have a newsletter on LinkedIn as well that you can subscribe to on my profile, which is Executive Search Marketing Mastery. And you can also contact me directly, finn@secretcmo.co.uk. As you can tell from my accent, I am based in the UK, but I do work with companies worldwide.
I used to work for a professional search firm called ESI Global out of Orlando, Florida, back when I lived in that part of the world. And they're such interesting people, especially the recruiters who work there. And this firm only ever filled 2 positions. That's it. They would be contracted to find either the executive chef or the general manager of 5-star hotels globally. That's it. They only ever filled 2 jobs.
Right.
Yeah, and I did not. I mean, I was brought in on the tech side. I left as their CIO. It's a pretty small firm, but what I never understood or never knew until then is that the general manager of a 5-star hotel somewhere in the world essentially lives like a prince. They usually live in the hotel with their family in some sort of like penthouse kind of beautiful apartment. Of course, they never have to cook anything. They never have to clean anything. Right? It's such an interesting job. And then the executive chef, of course, is in charge of the hospitality, the food, the catering, and it was incredible to me that you could have an entire business. I was new enough in business. I did not realize that it wasn't surprising that you could have a company based on just filling 2 types of jobs, but that everybody should be focusing on something. And this company had already gotten it right. I didn't realize that at the time. It was pretty impressive. 2 jobs. That's all they ever filled.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all you need,
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that the companies that I work with is more the kind of boutique size firm that, if they take on another 2 positions a month, that's like, millions of dollars difference in their revenue. So, when I get great results, it's exponential, which is, it looks good for me, but I don't do it for the, you'll never see me broadcasting, make $1 million overnight,
Right.
7 figures in 7 days, that kind of thing. Because the reality is very different for each firm. But the thing is that the trajectory that I can take an executive search firm on is like that, and that's what I really enjoy about it. It's high margins because they are providing a lot of value. Because if they do get it wrong, the level of cost and risk is exponential as well. And that's the thing is that the executive search firms that I work with, they predominantly work or they mostly work on a retained basis or exclusive, as opposed to that contingent model where they only get paid if they place. So they've already got experience. They know they're good at what they're doing. They've got that deep market focus, that deep market expertise. It's just helping them take that to the next level.
Interesting business, search firms. Okay, well, thanks, Ben. I really appreciate it for being here. And
Thank you.
thanks everyone for watching. If you can hang around for a second, and we'll catch everyone later. Thanks, guys. Bye.